Next, we move on to the PF and ESI setting. Now, for your organization, if this is not applicable, you can just keep this toggle as off. But if it is, switch it on, enter the effective date, keep the same date as what you have kept in payroll settings main toggle. So I'm going to keep it as 1st March. Select your employee's PF contribution. We have provided the drop down for the most commonly used PF contributions. But if you are using something that is not in this, you can always use the custom formula, enter the formula, for example, basic into 10% for either parties, and save it. Just keep it here and we'll save it later. Employer PF contribution, if it is included in CTC, just keep this toggle as on. By default, our system considers it as included in CTC, but you can keep this as no if it is not. So that way, employer's PF contribution will not show up in the CTC structure of the employee. If you have options of voluntary provident fund, or if there are employees who do not fall into this company formula, like basic into 12% or anything that's different from this formula, you can switch on the allow individual PF override. That way, for your organization, it will apply to 12%, but for specific users, you can either switch it off or you can just override the formulas. The rest of the fields are for information. You have pension scheme, EDLI, and PF admin charges, which are by default calculated by the system. As an organization, if you include EDLI and PF charges in your CTC, turn this toggle as on, as yes. That way, employer's PF contribution will be deducted at 13% based on this formula and not 12%. Once this is done, save the PF setting and move on to the ESI settings tab. Again, if it is not applicable for your organization, you can keep this toggle as off, but switch it on if it is applicable. Enter the same effective date as you have done in the previous tab. And the only setting that you will need to check here is if you want to include ESI contribution, employer's contribution, in this salary structure of the employee. If it's a no, you can just turn the toggle off, but I'm going to keep it on for now. Similar option for individual override is provided for ESI as well, wherein you can just switch it off for certain users or override the formula. Save after it is done. And next, move on to the overview subtab. This is a summary of all the information, all the settings that you have entered. Now, PF number, PF joining date, UAN number, all that can be imported using the import option here. It's a very simple Excel sheet. Populate the necessary fields and import the data. And you will see all the fields populated here. PF employer, PF employee values will start showing up here once the CTC structure is assigned to the employee. Until then, it will just show as no, but you can see the settings. If you want to override the setting for anyone, for example, for Shikhar, if I want to add a value of voluntary provident fund, say, for example, 60,000 per annum, this is what this is where I enter that value and I save. So once the salary structure is assigned, you will see a value of 60,000 appear in the VPF column. So that's your PF and ESI settings. You can export this information at any time and add or edit any information at any time.